Filmmaker. He did Tom versus Time, obviously. He's got a company with Michael Strahan and Tom Brady, the religion of sports media company. And he dives deep. He goes to the house. He goes inside the head of these stars. And the latest is Steph Curry. Steven versus the Game, it's called, or Stephen versus the Game, out tomorrow on Facebook. Here's a clip from it. This is Steph talking about Tiger Woods and what he's impressed by. Here it is.
I've never seen like a killer instinct like that, where you know you're the best, but still like searching for perfection. Like he changed the swing, even though he won like 6 straight tournaments and 3 majors out of 4 years, or does like the Tiger Slam and then changes the swing again because he feels like he can get better and more efficient like that. It's like an inspiration in terms of never really being satisfied.
And we welcome in Gotham Chopra. What are the challenges? The NFL's culture is system over player. Yeah. There's almost like, hey, Tom, if you do a documentary, you're giving up secrets that Belichick will yell at you about. In the NBA, it's more star-driven. This stuff is understood. Was it easier to do the Steph Curry than the Tom Brady documentary?
I mean, in that way, yes, just because barrier to entry in some ways is tougher in the NFL. But I would say, you know, one of the main challenges with Steph is he's so present in social media. He's got 25 million people on Instagram, and he's regularly communicating. His wife, who's, you know, pretty prolific on Instagram. So there's a different sort of creative challenge. It's like the audience kind of knows, like they feel like they already know you. Tom, what was really an advantage to us was the scarcity. Like nobody had ever been inside, and that drove so much fascination with him. People only knew one version of him, you know, the elite quarterback, but they'd never been on the inside. So in that way, I'd say this was tougher because it's like, how do I tell this in a way where something fresh?
Is the similarity with, say, a Brady and a Steph? People, despite Brady's greatness, have doubted him. Steph Curry went to Davidson. Did you sense the chip on the shoulder? Is that what drives him?
I mean, I think, yes, absolutely. So there's always been this sort of David versus Goliath type of thing, you know, this ruining the game. Now it's like his new thing. Like people have always sort of doubted him at every stage of his, when he was a little kid, he was too small. Then he couldn't get into like the big time programs. Then he kind of dropped in the draft. 2 other guys, you know, got drafted. 2 other point guards got drafted ahead of him.
Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio.
I mean, just think about that. Yeah. And so that's always, and so that chip is still on his shoulder. You know, people sort of say, hey, like, who's the guy on this team? And, you know, even on this current Warriors team. So I think, and that's in, by and large, with elite athletes like Tom, like Steph, they always need to find that edge, especially when they've been so successful. Like, how do you keep it going? You know, you mentioned Michael Strahan. Like, Michael Strahan always told me, at the end, I retired because not physically I couldn't do it, because mentally I couldn't find that thing to help motivate me. Tom, 42 years old, is still somehow finding that thing to motivate him, and Steph as well.
I think I was, one of the things that was fascinating with Brady is how, and I don't like this word, I don't think it means much, but I'll use the word normal. Tom had a fairly pedestrian American life despite his wealth, supermodeling claim. Smoothies, watching film, into his job and kids. You know, he's not a jet setter as much, although they have their Costa Rica stuff. But there was a certain middle American ethos or suburban ethos to it. With Steph, I've always felt he's as normal as a superstar can be. Yeah. Am I wrong there?
No, you know, Steph's the real deal. It's like almost like as a storyteller, as a journalist, you come in with a natural skepticism.
Right.
You're looking for vulnerability. You're looking for conflict. You're looking for something that doesn't seem right, so you can get under that and expose it. In some ways, Steph is like, it's the real deal, and like his family is such a big part, and they're always there. Like his parents are such a part of his life still, you know, at every game. His, you know, yeah, just like everything, you know, is authentic. It feels really like real, and that's refreshing and inspiring in a way. Like, you know, this greatness has a foundation that is, you know, very real.
Gotham Chopra. Tiger's dad wasn't famous before we knew Tiger. Joe Montana's dad wasn't. You know, you can go back to Koufax, Mickey Mantle, Tom Brady. Your dad was, and Steph's dad was. Yeah. So when you have strong fathers, did you ever, during the Steph documentary, think, I kind of know where he's going on this family thing, because you had a very strong point of view father raising you?
Yeah, there's definitely that connection and that similarity. And Steph and I have kind of talked about that also. But there also is like, again, looking for that edge in a way. Like Steph grew up with a very different type of pressure than say LeBron. There's so many archetypes, and like there's the single parent version, like lift yourself with your bootstraps. LeBron is that archetype.
Yes.
Steph is the other archetype, is like growing up again a relative privilege,
BMW,
but now that comes with an expectation. Oh, you must be soft. Your dad, and his parents sort of talk about that. Like that's what people chanted when he was in high school. Daddy can't help you, sort of thing.
Wow.
So now there was like, that was his thing. Oh, now I got to prove myself because everybody has a certain expectation of me. And so you find that to be, and I relate to that for sure.
Yeah. Did you learn something? Was there something there, a surprising tidbit? Like for instance, Tom Brady. There were a couple of things that I was like kind of wow moments. Maybe you had one with Tom. Was there a wow Steph moment?
I think the wow Steph moment in general is like, you would think for this type of excellence on the basketball court, in my opinion, greatest shooter of all time, that there's a anatomy to that underneath. There's like such a consistency. You go to Steph's house after the game, it's like chaos. I mean, 3 little kids, a wife who's, having her career defining moment right now. It's like a train station. Like there's so much. He's not worried about like shoot around the next day. He's worrying about getting the kids to sleep, getting them to school in the morning. Early in the season when we were working on this, Aisha, his wife, she's doing her own. She's got a new show coming out on ABC. So she was here in LA, like taping for like 3 weeks. He was like Mr. Mom at the same time that he was trying to get the season started, and then he had dealt with an injury. Then there was like team stuff. And it was just like so much going on that like, it was interesting to sort of see, like, there's no moment to kind of evaluate this thing. There's just react to it.
Every sport has a different culture. I talked about this earlier. There's a masculinity to hockey and football. You don't flop and you play. strong, frustrating dads are valuable.
Sure.
LeBron did not grow up with the classic father figure. I felt this year with LeBron, and I felt this you did shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
I don't want my athletes to shut up and dribble, but I did feel LeBron was seeking external validation this year more than most. By the way, MJ, strong father, never really sought it. Kobe, again, enigmatic relationship, stronger father. And I looked at LeBron and I thought, LeBron needs me to believe, hey, I drink wine. I get politics. I get business. And my takeaway is, yeah, I know you're smart. I've seen your whole career. I know you're. Is that a crazy theory? LeBron, to me, is fascinating. Number one, he grew up in an enigmatic, chaotic life, and we've never had any problems with him. It's almost unbelievable. Yeah. Statistically, he's a complete anomaly. Yeah. Secondly, this year, this external validation thing. Am I overreaching? Am I giving it too much thought? What?
Well, I mean, I can't say I certainly don't know LeBron the way I know Steph now or Tom or those guys, but LeBron is unique in terms of, like, I have spent time obviously with him. He was a big part of Shut Up and Dribble. I interviewed with him, and he's so on it. He's so sharp. Like, when you're sitting down with him, he figures out within the first 60 seconds, or what are you? Oh, let me give it to you. What are you interested in? And so, yeah, there's that. But I think, he needed a new challenge. I think he's looking for something, out there. He's still so committed and loves basketball, but there's all these other things. I mean, you can't be doing what he's been doing since the age of 14. So much is coming at you. Everyone wants you. He's curious. We forget, like, sometimes you're with LeBron and you're like, yeah, he's 34, but he feels like he's 54. Yeah. But he's 34. I mean, and he's been so focused on this one thing. And yeah, he's curious about the world. And I think, LA is a place that services that curiosity for sure.
By the way, I just throw that out there. I'm not saying I'm right, but I find the psychology of LeBron fascinating. And by the way, I would tell his friend Maverick Carter, who I know, I would tell him the same thing. I'd say, I'm going to throw something at you, tell me if I'm a goofball. David Falk was a legendary attorney and then kind of ran the NBA for years. He tells a story about Michael Jordan, and I always feel this is where LeBron and Michael Jordan are very similar. At one point, when Michael came into the league, Magic was seen as the team guy and Michael as the individual star. Mm-hmm. And David Falk and Nike proposed to Michael Jordan. This was a lot of money back then. They said, we're going to give you $1 million to play Magic one-on-one. And David Falk and Nike thought it was brilliant. And Michael, within a minute, said, this is an awful idea. He goes, if I lose, I'm no longer the team guy, or better than Michael, it kills my brand. And Falk and Nike, in the moment, said, oh, God, we're idiots. Michael knows his brand better than anybody.
For sure.
LeBron really, really knows. They said this about Howard Stern. Nobody knows Howard's audience like Howard. He knows what they like and don't like. I feel like LeBron really knows his fans, which I am one. I just thought there was a detour this year, and it was off-putting. I thought he got so into business. Now, by the way, do Kobe and LeBron have similarities to you?
Yeah, I mean, strive to be the best, and not just in basketball. Really? I mean, look at what Kobe's doing now. I mean, it's amazing. He's won an Oscar.
Incredible.
He's a New York Times bestseller. I'd say LeBron. What's unique about LeBron is he's kind of, up until this year anyway, like doing both at the same time. Excelling in business and continuing to be excellent on the court, with the Cavs. I mean, look, there's a lot of things that happened this year in LA. And, I was at that Christmas Day game, they were in good shape, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And, he's a 34-year-old athlete. Like, it's tough. And then other guys got hurt. It's just like, but they were, you're talking to a Celtics fan. I was not exactly rooting for that, but I was impressed. And then the wheels came off.
Finally, a question again on Steph Curry. Author, filmmaker Gotham Chopra, coming out. Stephen vs. the Game premieres this Thursday on Facebook Watch. Steph's Curry, the journey on and off the court. If today Kevin Durant texts Steph Curry, I'm leaving, how would it land on him? How do you think his 24 to 36 hour emotional window?
I mean, Steph is the most Zen guy I've ever met, first of all.
What do you mean?
I mean, so I always joke with him, he wears his faith on his sleeve. He's very Christian. It's very devoted. But I always tell him, I'm like, no, man, you're Buddhist. Like, you are so Zen. Nothing seems to affect you. Like, win, a loss. Like, he's just so chill. Like, he doesn't overreact to any situation. I think Steph's not, everybody knows what's coming in terms of free agency. So he's prepared for that. But I also think, he's got a unique connection when the time comes. And I don't know anything for sure, but just by being around KD, I literally don't think he's decided. I think he's one of those guys who's able to compartmentalize and focus on this challenge. When the time comes, Steph is somebody who understands historical context and was the reason, I think, largely KD's there. He'll have an argument to make to why he should stay. They know Jordan's got 6, and they're hopefully after this year, pretty within striking distance. So I think Steph will make a compelling argument, but, he'll also be prepared and fine and supportive of a friend if the friend decides he needs to go somewhere else. I mean, it's a business, and these guys get it.
I know it's a hackneyed kind of term, the Mount Rushmore, but I always thought there's 4 guys that have the biggest difference makers in my life in the NBA. Magic saved the league. Michael made it global. LeBron made it mobile. And Steph revolutionized it. KD's just great. KD's just great. I
mean, there's no question in my mind in 10 years from now, we'll be like, LeBron, Michael, KD, we'll be having that debate because I get to go to a lot of games right now. And I was at that game, he scored 50 or whatever against the Clippers a couple nights ago. It's like, I've never seen any, because also he's 6'10". It's just
Did you hear after the game, Lou Williams and who were the 2 players that guarded him? They're like,
Patrick Beverley.
We tried to stop him. Do you media guys get that we're trying to stop him here? We just can't.
Steph says it, I think it's in the 2nd episode, he calls him a basketball savant. And he's like, you're just around this guy in practice and you see him trying things and you're like, wait, he can get better than this? And that's Steph Curry, one of the greatest of all time, saying, this guy's on another level,
Okay, so Facebook, it drops tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, give it the title again.
Stephen versus the Game.
Premieres Facebook. How many parts?
It'll be 6 episodes.
Honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. I love it here.
All right. Joy with the news.
No.